Hey everyone, and welcome to a brand new episode of this FileMaker Solutions. What we're going to do today is we're looking to create a multi-user portal, something that will basically someone can put in a number or put in a name or whatever you want them to actually put in. What we want to do is we want to let's lay out the scope of what we're doing basically. So first and foremost is what we're doing is we have a restaurant, okay, and it's a cafe, and we have 5 or 6 waitresses or waiters, whatever, people that are servicing people, and they all have their own tablet. And we don't want to cross the data. We don't want to intermix the data. So what we want to do is we want to be able to create a solution where people can log on into their system and be completely segregated from everybody else, and the data all goes to the same place. So in this particular situation, this data, so someone makes an order, that order can be then sent to the kitchen, and the kitchen would get it. And then once it's done, then the kitchen can close it out, whatever the case might be. But this is the very beginning set of that. And what we're trying to do here is we're trying to create a system where people can log in safely and securely, and then those people, we know that those particular people are on the register at any given time and when they're on the register and things like that. So what we've done is we've basically started a brand spanking new solution. We've just brought it up here, and we are using FileMaker Pro Advanced 14, by the way, just so you know. So anything from 12 to 16, 17, 18, whatever they're up to now, will work this way. These things will work. And like I said, this is a multi system, or it's there'll be multi-streams that have to do with this system. So what we're basically going to do is we're going to start off with the simplest and most basic thing, and that is the very first page, the very first thing that we want to see. So we do need to go in and we need to manage our database. And like I said, this is a restaurant, so keep that in mind. This is like a little cafe, and we're just going to kind of keep these things going. So the very first thing that we need to do is we have a table, and our table is entry logs. So that's what I called the solution, entry logs. You can call it anything you want to. You can just create a whole new one if you want to, but I wouldn't recommend messing with the first one other than to add fields to it. So, and the first one's pretty simple. We're just going to add an ID field, or a we're not necessarily looking for an ID, because this particular first page is not going to create any records. There will be no creation of records at all. So we don't really need an ID to separate the creation of records. But what we need is a user tag or a user ID. So I think what we'll do is we'll start off with creating what's called a user ID. And we can make that into a number with a control N if we want to. And that's what I would do basically, is just create, I want to do it as a number. So when someone puts in a number, then we're good to go. And then we'll say OK. Now we do want to, right now we have nothing there. We have no, just because we have that doesn't mean anything. We have to figure out what's the next part of this. So let's go into our database. And let's go into our tables. We need to create a new table. And the new table that we're going to create is called user data. And we'll create it. And then and as you saw, I just kind of clicked off of it. Then we're going to want someplace to go. So if you think about the fact that you have multiple users that are going to be using your exact same solution, in this scenario, where you have 5 or 6 different waitresses, or whatever the case might be, it can be as many as 50. It doesn't matter. But we're gonna say 5. So let's just deal with that. Let's say you've got 5 people that are using your system, or will be using your system at any given time to create orders. Keep that in mind. We need to create orders. Now we don't want them all to use the same thing. So. And the reason why is because you will corrupt your data. Your data will become easily corrupted, because if if Jenny is ordering 2 teas and a salad, and John is ordering 2 sodas and a pizza, and they're both on the same system, well, those will all go on the same invoice, and that's not what we want. We don't want them to all go on the same invoice, right? We all want those. We're going to keep those records as separate as we possibly can, very individual for that person, for the people that we're actually servicing. So what we're going to do is we're going to name these pretty simple. Let's just do menu 1, and we'll create that one. Menu 2, and we'll create that one, and so on and so forth. Menu 3, menu 4. Now, inventory, you don't really need an inventory for this particular page, so that's not a big deal. You don't need an inventory base even if you're selling food, unless you want to track your inventory. If you want to track your inventory, no big deal. We can actually create an inventory system for that. But for right now, what we're trying to do is we're trying to make sure that a user that logs on to the system can easily get into the fields that we want them to get into. So user data, we'll double click on user data. What data is it that we really want? Well, we're going to need the user ID. So we'll just type in user ID, and we want that to be a number. And then what we want is we can have user name, and notice user name. I can separate these 2 words. They don't have to be next to each other if you don't want them to. I just do it all the time because I'm used to doing it, and that's Control-T because it's a text. So we know the person's name, we know the category, you know whatever information that you want on this particular thing. And the biggest thing that we're going to need to know is we're going to need to know what that menu, what user, what are they? I'm looking for a word to best describe exactly what it is that we're looking for. So we want to be able to use the, it's a separator or category, so priority, where that particular individual is going to go from that point. So we will just use the word menu, and that will be a text, so we can enter that. And then any other critical data that you might consider that you need. But we're trying to keep this very, very, very simple. We can get it more complex if you guys want to. I like to keep things as basic, forthright, and simple as possible. The more simple it is, the easier it is to manipulate and work on later on, and the better it is to resolve an issue when we have issues. And one thing that I found with FileMaker is FileMaker has a lot of issues. There's a lot of things that are going on in FileMaker that can throw you in the air, and you're just like, what am I doing? So we have those. Let's go back to our tables, and in menu 1 and menu 2, all we want to do for this particular thing is we just want, let's just create an ID, and we'll call it a number, and we'll create that, and we'll go back to our tables, and we'll go to menu 2, and we'll just create an ID. And it is also a number, and so we've created that. Now what we have is we have all these different layouts, right? We have this layout, which is the very first one, and then we will now have, if you go over here and you go to this, it's going to have entry logs, user data, menu 1, menu 2, right? So what we want to do here is we want to be able to put a user ID, and we can just grab this. We don't need a label for it, so we're just going to kind of grab it, and we're going to throw it out here in the center. And then we'll close this off. And pretty much that's all that we want on this page, is just a user ID. It's a simple, easy, painless product of what we're doing. We can add a text. We can say your store name. Unclick it. We do need to get our little double A thingy so we kind of can change the fonts and change what it's doing. We're going to just make this 36, and I think we will change the color to yellow just so it kind of stands out. We'll put it up here. I'm not being very fancy with this, and I apologize for not being very fancy with it, but all I'm trying to do is show you how to do these things, and you can make them very, very, very fancy if you want to. So we'll go back up to our text thing, and we'll give kind of like an easy explanation as to what it is. We'll just say enter user number here. And we can click off on that. We will make that a very dark color, and we'll make it bold. And let's make it an 18. And we want it in the center. And I'm just going to put it in the center, and then I'm going to raise it up. So it's kind of like in the middle. I'm going to click on this, just the first click. We're going to change it to, let's change it to 24. And let's make it a little bit bigger just because we're kind of weirdos about that. Put it in the center. And if we click off of it, we click back on, and we bring it here. Now if we exit the layout and we look at it, that's all it says, enter user number here. That's it. Now you can fill in the bottom of this, which I would suggest doing. If you want to put pictures and stuff like that in there, that's such a simple thing to do. And let me show you how to do that. Just because you want to add flair to it. You want to, because this page is, this is your very basic, very first starter page. You can add security data to it as well. So if you want to go from this page to an admin page, you can do that. That's an easy thing to do. But from here, we want to go to our menu, right? So what you want is someone to actually log in using their number. 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever the case is. It says no records are present if I just click that. So we'd actually have to create a record. And now it will actually let us put numbers in. We can put in 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, and it does nothing, right? So let's go back into edit our layout, and we're going to create a button. And the button is, I want the button to be semi large or whatever. And we're going to name this button. So we want it to say, you know, go or enter or whatever. So we'll just say enter portal, because that's kind of one of my very favorite things to do, to say anyway. So enter portal, and I clicked off of it, click back on it because I want to change it to an 18, make it a little, make it nice and bold. I'm going to put it right underneath of this. And now I want to go into my inspector panel, because what I'm trying to do with my inspector panel is I want this button to look good, right? I want it to look good. I don't want it to be silly looking. So I'm going to add a nice red color to it, and the line that goes around it, we're going to make a dark, super dark red color. And you can actually add things to here if you wanted to. So if I wanted to change it and make it look really cool, I could add like 2 buttons here. So add a button here, add another button there. And see how it changed it? Well, you can just grab this, you could grab the selector and change this to whatever you want to. So I can make this one more of a white type color or a light gray color. And then I can make this one a slightly darker gray color. And see how it changed the look of the button, the appearance of the button? It looks like pretty interesting, doesn't it? So, but you could change those and make those into whatever you really want to. I picked some colors that were probably a little bit dark for what I want, but I think that one. And this one, I want that to be pretty darn light, but slightly darker than the other one. All right. So now we have an enter portal. And that's pretty much all you'd want to do. Now, if you want to add pictures to it, just let me know and I can do that. You can add a box. If you want to, you can add a square and fill it with, you don't actually have to add a portal for it. You can just basically grab a shape tool, create a box, and create 5 of these boxes if you want to. And then when you go into the fill, that's where you would actually put your picture. So you'd say, I want that to be an image, and I want that image to be of Tim, because Tim's a weird looking fellow, and I just want it to be scale to fit, and ta-da, there you go. Now you have a picture inside of your thing. And obviously if this is a restaurant, you want food. You don't want pictures of Tim on your thing. So so here we have Tim. And we're just going to kind of put him right there in the middle because it's an interesting thing to look at. But now what we got to do is we got to figure out what do we want to do with this scenario now that we actually have it. Well, we need to, before we do anything, we need to figure out, we need to get into our other thing. So let's manage our layouts. And we're going to create a new layout. And so the layout that we want to use is user data. So let's just create that one. Let's open it. What am I doing? Okay. Open. So as of currently, that's all that you're going to get. But what we really want is we want this to be a list view. And so we'll go into, we'll close this down, we'll edit the layout, and layouts. New layout. And it's going to be records shown from user data. And so we're just going to call this user data LO for layout. And we can either have it for a computer, a touch device, whatever you want to. It doesn't make any difference. But we're going to use a list view because we need to have a list view. And we'll just separate it. We don't care about this page. We don't care what it looks like. We don't care a whole heck of a lot about what it is. What we do care about is our fields, the fields that we're actually going to put into this thing. So we have a user ID. We're just going to put that right dead smack in the center. We have username. Put that in here, and our menu, which is a text. Now what this does is, what it does for you is now we can keep information there. See, so if we exit the layout and we create a new record, all of a sudden now we've got this window of opportunity what we can do. So here's the very first thing we'll do is we're going to add a passcode 1234. And this one's going to be Fred John. And Fred John is assigned to use menu 1. See, that's how you do it. So then we go to a new record and we'll use 1542. No, let's make this easy because I don't want to confuse you guys. 1235. And we can just tab over if we want to. And this one's going to be Sarah Lynn. And we want her to use menu 2. See where I'm going with this? It's pretty simple to get it to go. So what we're doing is we're creating the data that we're going to use on that first page. So now if we go back to our initial entry logs page, and why is my box not there? Oh, I know why it's not there, because I'm actually on a separate page. There we go. There's my, I accidentally opened another page right on top of this page. Isn't that interesting? So now what we do is, if we exit the layout, and we see the number is going to stay there forever, right? Well, we don't want that number to stay there forever. We want that number to be erased every single time. We need it to be deleted. So we're going to take our Enter Portal button that we created, and we're going to double click on it, maybe. And we will button setup. And it's called Enter Portal. And right now it does nothing. It does nothing. But we actually want it to perform a script. And we need to create a new script. So we'll just create a new script. And we're going to call this user portal data. Okay. Now the first thing that we want to do is we need to set a variable. But if the field is empty, then if this user ID field is empty, it's not going to work, right? So very first thing we need to do is probably add an if statement. So we'll just go ahead and add us an if statement. If, and we'll click on it, and then we'll say, if we type in is, it'll come up is empty, and the field user ID. Then what we want it to do is we want it to show a comment. So we'll show a custom dialog, and the dialog will be invalid entry. No data was found. And we don't need the cancel button. We never need the cancel button because the cancel button does absolutely nothing for us. So we'll just say OK. And then we will go to halt script. And we're going to put our halt script right there on the above the end if. So now, if it's empty, it will do nothing. So from this point, we can now set a variable. We all know what that does. And the variable is going to be user. And we want to specify what that variable is. And this is the user ID. And we're OK. And now we need to set a field. And the field that we want to set, which is a specified field, is the user ID field. And our calculated result is, we want to just the double quotations, because we're just trying to clear it out. We just want to keep it clean and have nothing there. At this point, we now have data, but what are we going to do with that data? Well, let's go to layout. So let's go to our layout, and the layout is going to be, it's kind of, my mouse is so critical. The way, USA, how are you? Cool stuff. Yes, I am live streaming, by the way. So if you guys are watching this later on, you will see. So what we want to do is we want to be able to take this to our user data field or our user data layout. Okay. And now what we need to do is we need to enter find mode, right? Because we need to figure out what we're doing. But the one thing that I did miss is, I'm going to need to type it in really quick, is we need to freeze the window. Because we don't want people to see what we're doing. We don't want to see what's going on. So the freeze window needs to go above the go to layout. Otherwise, the individual that's logged in, they'll see all this stuff happening. And we don't want that, right? So what we want to do is we want to keep it secret, so no one knows what's going on. And we're going to go to the user data layout, and then we're going to enter find mode. And we don't need it to pause. And you can specify the results of your find if you want to, but I don't want to. So then we will set the field. And the field that we're going to set is going to be in user data. And it's going to be the user ID. And the calculated result is going to be $user. Right? Exactly like it's written right here on this deal. And we'll say that's okay. Now we can tell it to perform the find. Perform find. Ta-da! And now what it's going to do is, if you actually walked through this script and you went through the whole thing step by step, you would see that it goes there, it blanks everything out. Now the only thing you're going to see is that one record, right? So now what we need to do, this is a critical part. What we need to do is we need to set a variable. And that variable is going to be menu And this time I didn't capitalize it. I just left it that way. And that menu is going to be in the user data menu. So now what we have is we have a very specific system of what we want it to do. So now we know that we want it to, we've set a variable, and the variable is that. So now what we need to do is we need to leave that page. But before we leave the page, we can either show all records, which is fine. That's fine if you want to show all records again, because it doesn't matter. This is the user data page is not a page that you're going to be on a lot once you get it set up. So you set up all your people and you're gold, right? You set everybody up, you're gold. And now what we need to do is we need to go to that, we need to go to the menu that we're looking for, either menu 1 or menu 2, right? So if we go to, we type in go to layout, we can type in what layout we want to do. So we can do the layout name by calculation. And that calculation can be as simple as, we're going to just use this. No, I don't want to do that. Forget that. Delete, delete. We're just going to do $menu. $menu. And now it should take you to either menu 1 or menu 2, whichever menu that you selected, and we can just halt script. And so let's give this a quick try and see how this works. So if we exit the layout and we type in 1, 2, 3, 4, because I think it was 1, 2, 3, 4, right? We enter the portal. It's taken us to menu 1. It's instantaneously taken us to menu 1. So let's go back, and we're going to go back to the entry logs. And now we notice it's empty, right? There's nothing in there. Well, let's type in 1, 2, 3, 5 instead. Why not? See what happens. Menu 2. So if you didn't see that, here is where I'm telling you, here is where I'm discovering where it is. So what I will do for this is I'll edit the layout, and I'm going to put a box in menu 2. Better just make it a small box. And we'll do our field picker. And we obviously want it to be an image. We want it to be an image because, you know, we're image-based people. And we really want it to be this PC. Let's go to, I really want E, new volume E. Pictures, because I have lots of pictures. Lots and lots and lots of pictures in this one. As you can tell, I do all kinds of stuff. So, and we'll just select this. And we don't want it to tile. We want it to scale to fit. And we'll close it. So I'm only adding this picture so you guys know that there are two different ones. So this one is menu 2, right? And if we go to menu 1, there's nothing on menu 1. So we should probably add something on menu 1, right? So you guys know that there's a difference. So let's add a square. Grab our field picker. We're going to add an image. It's going to take us back to that very same image space that we were at before. I can find a cool picture. Those are like huge pictures. Camera roll. What's in my camera roll? Oh, those are pictures of my shed. So okay, I'll put this picture in there because it's a weird picture. And we'll just scale to fit. And it's uniquely upside down, which is interesting. Uniquely upside down. And put it right here. And now if we go from menu 1 to menu 2, you guys see there's a difference, right? So let's go back to our entry logs. And in our entry logs, here we have the picture of Tim and the enter the portal. Now you guys can change the enter the portal to anything you want to. You don't have to have it that color. You can have no color. It doesn't matter. But what I'm trying to show you here is that if we now go, we'll go exit layout. If we now go 1, 2, 3, 4, and we enter the portal, we go to the one with the picture in it. Now, let's say that here I am, and I need to get out of here, and I need to go back. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to edit the layout really quick. I'm going to add me a little button. And I'm going to call this button user. No, let's just say exit. That would be the best thing. Exit. And we just want it to perform a single step because we're simple. And we just need to go to the layout. And the layout that we want to do is go back to entry logs. Okay. So now it's going to go to the entry logs. And we'll close it. And we'll move our little exit button wherever we want to. Most of the time I put it in the header, but for this particular case, all I'm trying to do is show you guys how to create the circle, how to make it all happen with other things. And later on, I will show you how to create some security in the sense, what if someone puts in the wrong number? That's a question, right? That's a question. What if someone puts in the wrong number or a number that doesn't exist? We're going to cover that in the very next video. But for this video, we just want to kind of show you how to navigate through these things so that all of these can happen and help you in a major way for your company. And that's my whole purpose, is to help you with your company, to make things happen for you. So now we're going to exit the layout. What we can do is, let's do this really quick. I'm going to grab it and I'm going to Control C. I copied it. And we'll exit the layout. And now, if we click this button, it takes us back to here. Well, let's put in our 1, 2, 3, 5 number and go to that portal. Oh, we're in a completely different portal. But now I can click, if I edit the layout, I can click here and I can paste. I can put my exit button, same place or a near place. Now, if you want all your layouts to be exactly identical, which I love to do, and I'm a big fan of doing that, all you got to do is create a page, and I'm going to show you how to do that right now, because that's a big thing. It's a big, big, big thing. But I did want to show you how to do this, just so you guys know. So now if we go here, you see there's nothing in the ID because we didn't develop the menu pages at all. We didn't develop any menu pages. What we basically did was, and what we're going to do later on is we're going to put buttons in here so we can have lots and lots and lots of buttons. So let me show you how to do that really quick. Let me just get rid of this because I am not a fan of that even at all. And I want to make this bigger because you know me, I'm just an interesting person, and I want to make this, come here. Sometimes it is so hard to grab these little tiny lines. All right. So now my exit button I would normally have like over here. Exit button, right? And my ID, I don't really need to see it. I can click on this, get rid of that. I can take my ID, put it way the heck over here in the corner because I don't really care about it. And I can actually erase it. I can just get rid of it if I want to. It's not that big a deal. Or I can go into my inspector panel and I can just make it all white or one color or whatever the case is. So building buttons is pretty simple. We're going to go here. We're just going to build a button. Just a standard, let's just make it a small button. and we don't want a name for it. We don't want it to do anything right now because we're going to put data into it later. But as you can see, it's kind of hard to see it. But that's okay. We don't care. So we're going to grab it. We're going to hold on to control, and we're going to move it over. We're going to hold on to control, move it over. Hold on control, move it over. And I keep letting go of the control, by the way, in the interims of these things. And now, as you can tell, I have like all these buttons. I'm sure you guys can see them. But for purpose of you guys actually seeing them, I'm just going to change the color. So now you can see them. So, and all I did was just change the ring color. I could have made it black, I guess, to go with the motif of this particular deal. Let's make it dark color. There we go. Now you can see them, right? Now those are all buttons, and I want to have more buttons because this is the page where I'm going to do all of my ordering from. So one of these might be iced tea. One of these might be, you know, how many products do you have in your store? How many products do you actually want to sell? I want to sell 50 products. Well, then you're either going to need 2 pages or you're going to need to put 50 buttons on this page. Either or. Or you can do, and let me show you something really super cool. You can do this. You can come up here to where it says button or popover, and you can create a popover. And so what I'm going to do with this popover is I want to make it the exact size of those other buttons. And right now I don't really want anything in the popover, so I'm just going to close it. And I'm going to call this drinks because I'm weird that way, because that's what these are, is drinks. So I'm going to move it to the center. Make that the right height. Make that the right height. I'm going to move it over here. Make it the right width. Make it the right width. Because I want it to be identical to the other buttons, but different. I'm going to put a purple haze around it, and I want to fill it with a yellowish orange color. Drinks. So now I have a drinks button. But what does that drinks button do for me, right? What does the drinks button do for me? How is this going to help me? Well, the cool thing is now when you select, so if I exit the layout, of course, right now it's not going to do anything. But if I push it, it's going to create this popover window that pops up. So I can actually say, let's say I've got tea, pop, and coffee. Let's keep it simple, because just for the use of this. So I've got tea, pop, and coffee. And they're all different price. So tea, pop, and coffee. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab one of these. I forgot I got to edit the layout before I do that. Okay, so I've got this. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab a couple of these. And I'm going to hold control. I'm going to move them over here. Put them right dead in the center. Come on. Sometimes it is so tough to get these exact. Not giving me a space. Normally it tells me what the spacing is. Okay. So now I have all these buttons, right? That are inside that other button. And this popover is interesting because I can fill the popover with whatever color that I want. And I can change the appearance of the popover. Bring it up. Bring this up. Because I want it to look cool. I want it to look really cool. And now if I go into my inspector, I can change what it looks like. So right now it says it's a gradient. I can add a super light haze to it, super light blue, as you guys can see that. And I can change the way that blue actually appears by moving this. You guys notice how it's moving it, how it's making it like all cool and stuff? And if I make a funny mistake, I say, oh, I didn't really want to do that. Well, Control Z will fix it for you. That's just a back. So now I have this, and I can click on this one, double click. This is pop or soda or whatever. This is beer. This is wine. Now you can have, if you want, if you have like several different types of several different drinks, you can put them in there if they're different prices if you want to, if you're keeping track of your inventory. So this one we'll call tea. This one we'll call water. And so on and so forth. So now when we close it, close this, and we exit our layout, now when we press this button, the popover comes up and it tells us what is in here to select. Right now, none of the buttons are active. None of the buttons are active. So we'll go ahead and we'll close that. By clicking off of it, we close it. And now if we edit the layout again, we can grab all of these buttons if we want to. Move them where we want. I'm going to grab my drinks button because I want it to be over here. But I want it to be way over here. Because I want it to be categorized, right? And now I want to grab all of these. And I'll hold my control button and bring them down. Hold my control button, bring them down. Hold my control button and bring them down again. So now I have all these buttons. I just created a whole bunch of buttons, right? I just created like a whole bunch of really cool buttons. And I want to add some text to it, and it'll say, Smile, Cafe, and Pub. And I have to click off of it because notice it doesn't notice the look of it. So I have to click off of it, and now I can actually make a change to it. So now I can take it and make it into a 36 or a 48. And I can change the color of it to a yellow, and I can move it up here, put it in the center, and now I can actually start making my thing beautiful if that's what I want to do. I can also go in and select a theme. I said, hey, you know what? I want a beautiful theme to go with this. I don't want it to look funny. I want it to look really cool. You know, you can pick any theme that you want to. Electric happens to be one of my absolute favorites of all times, but so is retro. So now we put them in, and now look at what our buttons look like. It's really amazing to see the difference. And we can highlight those and make them very much different. But as you can tell, this is a very dark menu. It's a very dark menu. But if you're in a dark place, this would look pretty good. And you can select all of these buttons if you want to, and you can change the color of the outline to a lighter color. So now they just pop. They just pop on the page, as you guys can see. So now we have our drinks. And if we select our drinks, it's automatic. It comes up. Might have to move that just a little bit. There we go. So if we exit our layout, there's our beer, our pop, our water, whatever it is that we want to order, we can order that. And the cool thing about this particular issue is no records are found. Okay, that's fine. You do have to create a record before you do, you do have to create a record, one new record, at some point before it'll let you put any data in. Or pass data through the system, right? So we're going to edit the layout because we don't like the way that this worked. We're going to click on our Smiley Cafe and Pub. We're going to go to, I don't know, Bradley 48. And we want it to be a nice yellow color. And so now we can start creating our page. But don't change it. What I want you to do is build your page first. I'm going to go ahead and take my ID, and I'm going to put it way down here on the bottom, someplace where it's not in my way even at all. And don't forget, you're going to want a quantity button. You're going to want a quantity, right? So for this, you would have to add a window. You would have to go back in. So if someone wanted 5 drinks, you would need a window, a quantity window, a place where you could put a quantity number into that it would be able to tabulate it. But anyway, so what we would do is what the plan here is to show you is that we build this on menu 2, and the cool thing is you can do this if you want to. Make these buttons bigger or smaller or whatever you want to do. Make them fit however you want them to fit. Move them wherever you want them to move. And we can put in, this is a really unique thing. Let's do this really fast. You can do, well, no, let's not do that. I was going to say you can put their name on there. So if you want Fred John's name to appear, you're like, oh, Fred John is on the register, and you want his name to appear here. It's as easy as just changing that script that we just wrote to add another variable, and that variable be the username. And then when you do that, you would bring that user, when you come to this new thing, you would use that username. You'd set a variable, username, bring it over here, and put it in the username column. The problem is that you have to erase that every time they leave. So it would be in the future scripting, where when you come into that system, you'd say, go to our scripts. When you go into this user portal script, down in this part of it, you would say collect a variable, username, and I'll show you that. If you guys want to know how to do that, I will show you how to do that. But remember this always. Keep it simple. Keep it unbelievably simple and direct. The more complicated you make it, I've had a number of people tell me, Tim, you got to use global variables. Well, yeah, you can use global variables, and that's fine. I love global variables in the sense that the global variable is a permanent fixed variable that you set, and it's always the same. And if you want to go into your globals, you can change that, whatever you want to do, and that's fine. This is another way to do something similar, but not the same. But it's very, as I've used FileMaker for years and years and years, and I will tell you this: it is the glitchiest script writing program I've ever seen, in the sense that if you have relationships, it'll drive you insane. Because you will lose data. We don't want to lose any data at all. We want to keep all of our data safe. So now that we have this, get it set, we can actually go into manage our layouts. And we're on menu 2. So we can duplicate that menu 2. Once we have it set, once it's exactly the way that you want it, duplicate it and then rename it. So we're going to edit it. And we're going to rename it as, as soon as I think of the name, it was just in my brain. But so we'll have menu primary, or the name slips my tongue as I'm looking for the word that I'm looking for, but it's the layout that's the base layout. So everything comes off of that layout if you want to make it whatever. And watch, right after the stream, I'll remember and I'll be like, oh, I should have said that word. But I'm sure most of you have had the same problem, as your brain is thinking about 50 different things all at one time. And especially when you're script writing, because your brain is constantly thinking of like 50 different things at all one time, and a simple word can just pass you by, and you're just like, what word was it I was talking about? But we're just gonna name it the primary menu, or whatever, the primary layout, or whatever, or layout blank, or let's just do layout primary, and we'll just call that good. And now what we do is, if we want to duplicate it and create something even cooler, which is just fine, we can do that. But let's exit the layout. So now they're very different, right? So now if we enter 1, 2, 3, 4, and we enter the portal, oh, look where we're at. Tim's shed, right? But we don't want to go to Tim's shed. We want to go to the really cool one. And that one's 1, 2, well, not 1, 1, 2, 3, 5, because that's my user ID, because I'm, and voila. So notice the difference. It automatically sends me to the menu that I want. Big thing to remember when you're doing this is every user has to have their own menu page. Every user has to have their own invoicing page. Inventory, no big deal. You can have everything on one inventory, and they can all take from the same inventory. But what you'd want to do with your inventories is you want to copy and duplicate those layouts, so that this one is taking from layout 1 or inventory 1, inventory 2, inventory 3, inventory 4, inventory 5. It doesn't add very much when you're just duplicating them. So let's go back into our edit the layout thing, and we want to manage our database. And let's look at where we are. In our relationships field, we have created 0 relationships. The only relationship that I will create with this one will be the invoicing relationship, because you have to have a relationship between your register and your invoice, which are the same thing. Basically, it's one page. The outside portion is your register, and the inside portion is your invoice. And the cool thing is if you wanted to, if you really, really wanted to, you could create and I'm not going to show you how to do that. Let's see, cancel. We'll just say okay, because I don't know what the deal was with that. But if you wanted to, and this is a really cool thing, let's edit the layout really quick. And push the wrong button. Okay, edit the layout really quick. Push this over. So if your person can't remember what they ordered or what they put on the thing, you can actually put in, if you wanted to, you could put in a window right here that actually keeps track of what buttons you're pushing. Or you just added a T, you just added this, you just added that, you just added this. So you can keep a register right here of all of the items or all the buttons that you pushed. And it can happen. Just let me know if you guys want to see that, because if you don't want to see it, or if I don't get any replies on wanting to see these things, I'm obviously not going to produce those videos. I'm trying to produce videos that I believe will best help the small business, because I know the expense is amazingly huge. So we will just go with that. Been on the air for about 53 minutes. So we'll exit. Exit. Takes us back out to our primary. There is the beautiful mug. And now you guys know how to do that. Multi-user system solutions. And that way everybody is on the separate thing. Because all of your people need to be on separate menus. They can't be on the same menus. And this is a big one for you, Linda, if you're watching me. You're watching me, Linda. Keep these people on separate menus. If they're all on the same menu, they're all on the same invoice. And if they're all on the same invoice, and John's and Sarah Lynn, they both are adding product, or they're both adding sales to your invoice, they're both adding sales to that invoice. So what happens is you'll get 15 teas. You'll charge one person for 15 teas and 5 salads, and the other people will walk away without having to pay a dime. So let's keep that straight. Those do need to be very segregated, very separate. You can't have a single system for multiple users. Although they can all be under the same solution, and that's what I'm trying to show you. Everything is under the exact same solution. It doesn't take up a lot of space. This file will not be very big even at all. So if you're hosting it or you're having it hosted through FNP Host, it'll work perfectly and flawlessly for what you want it to do. But what we did is, and obviously I'm going to show you next time because my time is out for today, but I'm going to show you next time, what if somebody enters the wrong number? What if somebody enters 7894? No records match. But somebody can touch the modify the find button if they want to, or the continue button, or the cancel button. And if this happens, if we don't have the records there, what do we want it to do? Think about it. What do we want it to do? All right, so thank you guys very, very much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe. Let me know. Give me a thumbs up. Let me know what's going on. Let me know how you guys feel. Let me know if you guys want to know something specific. If you have a business, I've had so many people, they will send me their solutions and they'll say, help me, help me, help me. If you have a problem or you're working with a solution right now, let me know what I can do to help you. That's what I'm here for. I'm here to help you. So if I can, I would certainly want to do that. So I will see you guys in the next one. Thanks for watching, everybody. Until next time, have a great time. Have a great rest of your day.